Greetings and welcome to this virtual session. I'm so happy that you are able to join me this evening. As you know, the University of Notre Dame is a wonderful institution, and I'm so happy to represent the university as part of the Black alumni of Notre Dame. Good evening. My name is Kendra Washington Bass. I was in the class of 1994 at the University of Notre Dame, and I am here representing the illustrious Black alumni of Notre Dame. We are a group of Notre Dame alumni who have a rich tradition in ensuring that we increase the Black presence of students, faculty, and the experiences on campus. Part of my role on the board is to help support the recruitment efforts to ensure that students know about the University of Notre Dame. They consider applying to the University of Notre Dame, but more importantly, as they're accepted, they persist to the university and have a wonderful experience that leads them to wonderful outcomes as a result of being a graduate. And so I graduated in 1994 with a degree in film and television. I'm currently located in Georgia, a little bit outside of the Atlanta area, and I'm in education. I've spent the last 28 years of my career helping to improve the opportunity and lives of students, and I get to do that now on a national level as a designer and facilitator for a national educational leadership organization. So I'm so glad that you're able to join this evening, and let's kind of get into it. What I want to do is share with you bits and pieces. This won't be long because you should be in the middle of application season, but I want to give you a little bit of information about the university. Here again is information about me, again, class of 1984, my degree, as well as my current role. And so a little bit about the university, just so that you have an understanding of where it is. So Notre Dame is located in South Bend, Indiana, and it was founded in the mid 1800s by Father Sorin. And it is a Catholic institution located in South Bend, Indiana, and it has the most beautiful campus that I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen many campuses just from doing tours with my own children, but it has one of the most beautiful campuses. It is a place that when you go there, you will want to enroll there. So it was founded in 1842, and Notre Dame has a rich academic, spiritual, and social tradition. So those are the three things that you're going to hear me talk about this evening: academics, of course, spirituality, and service and community. Those are the three pillars by which Notre Dame really is founded on. In addition to that, there is a moral imperative to do good, right? To be something for humankind. And that is what graduates of Notre Dame do. And I'll share a little bit about who some of those graduates are. So here's some information that I think might be pertinent for you as a student, and for those of you who are parents or guardians who are helping support your students in enrolling in an institution. The main statistic you want to look at is graduation rate, meaning if you're going to spend money, time, and resources researching a university, attending a university, it's not a matter of whether you get in. It's really a matter of whether you can persist and graduate. And Notre Dame has one of the highest graduation rates among institutions like it, among the Harvards and Yales and Browns and Stanfords and USCs, 98%. So think about return on investment. And if you don't know what that means, is if you're going to put money, time, resources, and energy in something, then you want to get something out of it on a positive end. So Notre Dame students graduate. They graduate on time. They graduate with degrees, and they go on to do things, are gainfully employed. They go on to graduate school, or they go into the military. So I graduated in 94 and immediately was employed as a teacher in the South Bronx in New York City. And so I became gainfully employed. I also went on to graduate school. I went on to get my master's. I went on to get my PhD in educational leadership. So not only did Notre Dame prepare me for the work that I was going to do, but also prepared me for postgraduate studies, which enabled me to get the highest degree that I can get in education, unless I want double degrees, and I'm not doing that again. Too costly, right? So 98%. Now, what about campus life in general? So not only is a high graduation rate, but the reason why the graduation rate is so high, at least one of the factors, is that students really have a great relationship with faculty on campus. And the faculty members on campus are some of the best in the field and the best in the mind, have the best minds in the fields in which they work. So students are going to have hands-on um, research opportunities, internship opportunities, and partnership opportunities with the professors that are teaching their courses. So your students are not in a room with hundreds of students. The ratio is about 1 to 20 for some classes, 1 to 30, probably the largest 50, and that's usually in your early um, academic career. But once you really get into your major and some of those minors, you're really going to have a very good relationship with your professor who's going to know your name. And that's critically important because they're going to be able to know your work and be able to coach and guide you in a way that a professor should be able to do, right? Not a traditional professor by any means. And then the other thing too is that, the university um, has a reputation of not only having faculty members with these great minds, but also what students are studying. I was on campus this past September and I was blown away about what students are thinking about in terms of careers that I never even thought would exist, right? Students are really being cross curricular and thinking about careers in a way that are going to support the human good. So I had a student that I now mentor who is interested in real estate, but she is interested on the business side, but really looking at how real estate investment companies support marginalized communities and how they're revitalizing it versus gentrification. So these students are really thinking about solving the world's problems. And on campus, they have the opportunity to mesh political science with business and mesh, the social sciences with engineering. They're really thinking about ways that their businesses, that their companies, that when they're going to go into the workforce can actually be a change for good. So very impressive. So what else about the University of Notre Dame? So let's talk a little bit about campus life. So University of Notre Dame does not have traditional Greek life. So that community that happens on campus happens within the dorms. That's where you kind of create your identity. I was in Walsh Hall, which is in part of the oldest section of the university. It's called God Quad, near that beautiful golden dome that you sort of see in pictures or images and movies, or if you've been on campus, the Golden Dome, which is the administration building. Walsh Hall is kind of to the left of that. That is where you find your community. That's who you are bond with, your sisters and brothers. The housing is gender specific, so there are female dorms and male dorms, and you are required to stay on campus for your first 3 years through your junior year. Now, here's what's interesting. 75 to 80% of the students stay on campus throughout their 4 years. I did. I really felt like I needed to be on campus where the action was, but also where I can find my community. Within each of the dorms, each dorm has its own identity and its own culture and participates in activities that really help support sort of the theme of the dorm. In addition to that, each of the dorms have their own rector, they have their own RAs, and they also have a chapel within each dorm. There are also opportunities for you to find community outside of your dorm. And I think this is one of the things that has really highlighted and improved over the years since I've been at University of Notre Dame, which is the number of clubs and organizations that exist for students based on ethnicity, based on gender, based on interests, based on sports. So there are a myriad. Actually, there's over 600 clubs and organizations on campus. So if you're really looking for a place where you can find additional community outside of your dorm, outside of your dorm mates, then that's what you're going to focus on. And I absolutely recommend, highly recommend that you participate in a club or organization. One, they're student run, right? So here you get a chance to practice your leadership skills and practice, serving. Two, they are supported by faculty members. So you still have another opportunity to engage with faculty outside of your studies. And then three, it really is an opportunity for you to engage in a larger community, to really be able to take those things that you are going to put in service and act on it, gain agency, and be able to support the work that you're truly passionate about that goes beyond graduation. And the third part of the community is spirituality. Now, majority of people who are interested in the University of Notre Dame are typically Catholic, and that makes sense. It's a Catholic institution. However, there are a large number of students who are not Catholic who attend the University of Notre Dame. And I think one of the reasons why is because people are drawn to the spiritual aspect of it, the moral good that can come out of it, that everyone on that campus feels like there's something, they belong to something greater and can do something greater. If you are practicing Catholic, there's Mass every day. We also have the Sacred Heart Basilica, which is one of the most beautiful churches that you've ever seen. When you go into the church and you look up, you can see the frescoes on the ceiling, very much like the Sistine Chapel in Italy. And it has one of the paintings of the Black Madonna. So it is really, really rich in spiritual tradition. Another part of the campus is called the Grotto, which is adjacent to the Sacred Heart Basilica, where students can go in silent prayer, meditate, pray for others, or just have that moment where they can kind of get and get their feet grounded spiritually in order to fill the mind, the body, and the soul. So, campus life is none other, and I recommend that you take a tour or do one of the virtual tours that you can sign up on the University of Notre Dame's website. So here's a little bit of the profile of the current student body on campus, and this specifically are the freshman class. Okay, so for those of you again who are looking to go to the university and trying to figure out, well, who are going to be my peers, what are they going to look like? So split 50-50 male, female. A lot of it has to do with the dorms, right? The dorms are basically split 50-50. So you're going to have about 52% male and 48% female. Now, the trend nationally is that more females are attending colleges. And so we might see that percentage go up even more and male percentage go down. But for the most part, University of Notre Dame has a close to even split in terms of gender. But I think one of the things that we really are tracking, and as the director of student recruitment for the Black alumni of Notre Dame, I'm particularly laser focused on how the university is improving its recruitment and and enrollment efforts for students of color and for our group and our organization, Black students. So this past school year, 32.7% of the freshman class are students of color, and 16.7% of them are students who are considered international students. 18.7 are first generation. So those numbers, you have about a third of the student population in the freshman class are students of color. And again, this is how students identify, not how the university identifies them. So just a special note. And we're looking to increase that really to be more reflective of what we're seeing in terms of trends in the country, and also make sure that the University of Notre Dame is a welcoming environment for students of color, for Black students, and that students have the supports necessary to be able to feel like they're belonged and can engage in the social and community environment on campus. The other thing to note academically is that the students are really leaders within their schools. And I'll talk a little bit about the application process and how Notre Dame really determines the type of student that they want. But I think this gives you an initial picture of the type of students that Notre Dame has on campus right now, right? So 87% of the students participated in some type of community service. 45% were involved in extracurricular activities such as music and drama and dance, art. 44% of those students were captains of a varsity sport, and 24% were heads of major student organizations. So as you can see there, we're looking for students who are not only community and service oriented, but also leaders among their peers and leaders within their schools. And then last but not least are the SAT and ACT, which are test optional. They continue to be test optional this year. So the University of Notre Dame is not requiring students who are applying this year to take the SAT and ACT. If they do, it really will either enhance or paint a better picture of the student, maybe strengthen it. And if not, it's okay, right? The grades and the recommendations hold still majority of the weight in college admissions at the University of Notre Dame. So a little bit more information for you here. Okay, so here's the first year class profile. One of the things I just want to highlight here really quickly, and then we'll jump into um, the application process, are the schools at the university. So those majors, and you can see there: engineering, architecture, business, science, arts, humanities, and social sciences, right? So these are basic programs that the university offers, and they have some that are cross curricular. But as you can see, it's almost an even split with the exception of architecture. Now, architecture is a very unique program. It's a 5-year program because one of the years students study in Rome, Italy. And so that studying, it really helps them understand classic foundations of architecture. So that's why that particular program's percentage is pretty low, because very few people really are really interested in that program, and it does require 5-year commitment, one study in Rome. Then you can see the others, but the most, I think the one that most popular are is our business school, the Mendoza School of Business, and the Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, which is kind of like arts and letters. And the reason why those two are: one, Notre Dame's business school is ranked among the top. I think UPenn's, Wharton, and Notre Dame are sort of neck and neck in terms of the type of professors, what students learn, and the rigor of the program that really allows them to walk away with not only a degree, but the financial, economic, and business sense related to the program. And the second is arts, humanities, and social sciences, which is sort of a catch-all for many of the things. I was in the College of Arts and Letters, so that's your communications, your film, your poli-sci. Those things are there. Now, many students jump across, as I explained before. They have majors and minors, and so an advisor will work with students to help figure out how their programming can work to support students' interests, because that is ultimately the goal. What is it that a student is going to walk away with a degree and do something with that makes a difference for them? So I think that's important as you're thinking about the programming. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of nitty gritty about the application process. One deadline has already passed, so that's restrictive early action. If you or a student has already applied, met that deadline, you're now in the waiting game, and it's about to come to fruition for you all in a couple of weeks. And so the application process is underway for those restrictive early action students. And in fact, they will get notifications right around the end of December, around that winter holiday break. And you will receive one of three responses. The first is you're accepted to the University of Notre Dame. I say, go ahead, pay your $500. Come on, go Irish. Two, you could get a rejection, and that means you continue to look and investigate other institutions that might be a better fit for you. Or three, you've been asked or been moved, applications been moved to the regular decision, and the university might want additional information from you, like your first semester grades or another reference form. You will be contacted about what additional information you will need. So that's restrictive early action. We're right now in the season of regular decision. So this is the time right now where you're working diligently, writing essays. You are talking with your teachers, getting those reference forms, talking with your guidance counselor, writing up your resume, going on the Common App, doing all that stuff. So you have some time. I say don't wait until January 1st to press the button, but give yourself the time to look over your application with careful eyes, ask for feedback, fine tune everything that you can to make sure that your application, not just from the University of Notre Dame, but for any of the schools that you are applying to, is sharp, and it tells a compelling story of the type of student you are and the type of student you will become as you matriculate at the University of Notre Dame. So what do they look for in an application? So Notre Dame uses a holistic review process, meaning they look at academic and non-academics, and they consider a broad range of factors. Here's an interesting note. You can see there 26,500 students applied to the freshman class last year. And of those, 3,420 were admitted and 2,053 actually said are sitting on campus. That's the freshman class, right? So when I was sharing a little bit about that profile of that 2,053, 32% of that are students of color. So we're looking to increase that percentage. But Notre Dame uses a holistic review process, right? They really want to take the time to review and know an applicant as a person and not specifically as a number. So what does that mean? Okay, let's jump to the academic side, which we probably are most familiar with, right? So in your 4 years of high school, how have you fared? Have you been taking rigorous classes over time? What does your GPA and classroom performance look like? And quite frankly, Notre Dame is not interested in your rank in class. So that's not going to matter. What they really want to look at is your transcripts to determine the types of courses you've taken. I'll give you a personal example from my youngest son. It's you can look at his transcript over time and you can see first semester is when he's kind of getting his groove, right? So grades are pretty okay, and B's, maybe a C there, maybe an A. But second semester is where he rocks it, right? So it just takes some time to warm up. And what he was able to do is not only share that academic profile, but in the non-academic side, he was able to show the types of activities that he was participating in. So he was really ramping up his athletics and track and field. My other son was in musical theater and acting and drama. They were doing they were working, they had jobs, they were participating in community service. So they were doing a lot of things that sometimes can have an impact on how you prioritize. But once they got into the rhythm of the school year, they were able to really solidify their patterns and their work habits. And so the essay was the place where that story can unfold. And so you have the opportunity as a student to really share that story and really put a lot of thought into the essays. And then not only the essays, but the letters of recommendation help solidify that from a teacher who knows your work ethic, who knows your heart, who knows your mind, from your counselor, who can really paint a larger picture of you within the context of being a resilient college student. And so while there's the academic side, the non-academic side really is a place where you can shine, where you can uplift everything that we don't kind of hear and you can give voice to it. So we talked about the essays. I wanted to share with you that not only will your student or you complete the Common App application essay, but Notre Dame has required essays. They have 2, right? The first one is right here, like it's open source, so no secrets. Notre Dame is a Catholic university founded by the members of the Congregation of Holy Cross. I told you it was founded in 1842 by Father Sorin, with a mission to educate the hearts and minds of students. What excites you about attending Notre Dame? So basically, why do you want to come? What about the University of Notre Dame is intriguing you? What excites you about that? So that's the first required. And then you have an opportunity to answer one of these 4 essays, right? So take a look at those 4, see which one speaks to you, can really tell the story of who you are and how you will evolve as a student at the university and beyond. So the first one is people at Notre Dame community come from different places, backgrounds, and walks of life. How is where you're from a part of who you are? So again, this is very personal. The second one is tell us about a time when you advocated for something you believe in. The third is if you were getting unlimited resources to help solve one problem in your community, what would it be and how would you accomplish it? And then the last question is, what's the greatest compliment you have ever been given? Why was it meaningful to you? So as you can notice, the first question is really about attending Notre Dame, but the second second question that you get to choose is really about what is in your heart based on your service, based on your advocacy, and really social justice, because that's what University of Notre Dame is looking for. So you can tell by the questions the type of students the university is really seeking. And if any of these are have meaning for you, then university is for you. Okay. So let's talk about affordability. How much does the University of Notre Dame cost? Just going to tell you, annually is $81,000. Yes, sticker shock. Yes, fall on the floor, but let's pick yourself back up. Okay. Yes, university college in general has always been expensive, and for students in serious need, it might seem like this is out of reach. Let me just tell you, girl from the South Bronx, single mother, 2 kids going to college, we were able to do it. Notre Dame has a really good financial aid package. They will find a way with grants, combination of grants, loans, work study, you name it, to give you a package that may suit your needs. Now, I always say don't depend solely on what an institution is going to be able to provide for you financially. I always say talk to your college, talk to your guidance counselor at the school. For my children, we were able to look at some local scholarships. My son did some reading and early in elementary school. I was able to cash that reading voucher for a $250 scholarship that went for books. Anything, any little thing counts. Check your parents if they're working for certain organizations that offer grants or scholarships because they're an employee. That may work. I know Chick-fil-A does one. If you are a student and you're working for Chick-fil-A, you can qualify for scholarship or grant money for local university. So check on the myriad of different options that you have. I just want to uplift one scholarship that the Black alumni of Notre Dame has the privilege of supporting, which is the Fraser Thompson Scholarship. Fraser Thompson was the first Black graduate of the University of Notre Dame, 1947. And in his honor, the Black alumni have been supporting that scholarship fund in order to help Black students on campus afford the university tuition and for scholarships for other things. We've also implemented a merit scholarship, and that's for students who are applying to university and are accepted, and students get an opportunity to be awarded that scholarship too. So there are a number of ways to afford attending the University of Notre Dame, but you can't get in the game unless you apply. And so don't let the cost of any school stop you from applying. Even if you're having some difficulty paying for the application itself, each university can provide you with a waiver so that you don't have to pay that application fee. So the thing is, you're going to have to do some advocacy for yourself, calling up the university, talking with the admissions counselor, explaining that you're having difficulty maybe paying the application fee, and see if they can waive it. And I'll give you a contact in just a few moments. So, University of Notre Dame. Why? I said it can be for you. We're increasing the presence, but I just wanted to share with you some well-known graduates, some people you know or have heard, and maybe some people you're like, huh, that's interesting. So Condoleezza Rice was a graduate of University of Notre Dame, a graduate program, former Secretary of State. There's Erika Mbombole, who was our wonderful MVP of the NCAA Notre Dame winning championship team, and now she's playing for the Dallas Wings. She's also was Rookie of the Year. This Christine and Mike Swanson. This is the entertainment production husband and wife duo. Christine is a director. You've probably seen her direct the Clark Sisters. She's been a director on Chicago PD and those shows. Michael Swanson is a producer for NBC, also helped produce The Life and Time of the Temptations, Ain't Too Proud on Broadway. We're very proud of them, and they're good friends of mine. You have Mike Brown, who was the first Black leprechaun mascot at the University of Notre Dame, and that's also a feat when you're the first. You become the trailblazers, and when people cannot see representation, they can believe that they can do it too. There's Dr. Nicole Hannah Jones, who was the Pulitzer Prize winning author, New York Times, who wrote the 1619 Project. She too was a graduate of the University of Notre Dame. And we have Jerome Bettis, who is is a Hall of Famer football player, again representing the 90s, was a player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's just like the few of the few of the few that are graduates of the university. There are so many of us who are out making such a big difference in the world of entertainment, art, sports, politics, you name it, in medicine and engineering, doing some fantastic things. And you too can be part of that Notre Dame family. And so, what I'm hoping that you got out of this today was a little bit of information about the university, who's there. But I would be remiss if I did not thank the countless number of volunteers and members of the Notre Dame community who come out and show out each time to support our students. Here is some information. I'm going to drop it in the chat that can give you some additional background about the university as well as financial aid. So I'll drop that in just a moment. But again, I want to share my contact information. Again, I'm Kendra Washington Bass. I do not work for the University of Notre Dame. This is all volunteer. This is just my gift to students to be able to connect with students and families who are really looking at making some decisions. You can reach me at ba.recruitment@alumni.nd.edu. But the person you really want to hound, he's probably going to kill me for saying this, but it's Dontavius Seaborn. He is the Senior Associate Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Outreach in the Office of Admissions. And his main goal is to help do what I'm doing, help to increase that presence and help share the information to support students who are applying and enrolling to the University of Notre Dame. And you can reach him at dseaborn@nd.edu. So contact us. Make sure you reach out and ask us some questions. Pretty soon, we're going to be reaching out to tons of students who are admitted. But if you are in the stage of still thinking about applying, please reach out. And again, on behalf of the University of Notre Dame's Black alumni of Notre Dame, I want to say thank you. Thank you to our network of people around the country who go to schools, who support recruitment fairs, who have informal conversations with students who wear their Notre Dame alumni gear, their swag proudly, and talk to students and people about their experiences. Thank you for what you do every day to represent the University of Notre Dame, but especially thank you for representing the Black alumni of Notre Dame. I appreciated you being on with us today. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on social media. You can reach out to me on email. I will be back next Wednesday with probably a guest this time, having a conversation about the experiences at the university. So thank you so much. Have a good evening. I will see